It's actually been so long since I've just read some regular old Reddit stories. I found a bunch that are pretty juicy, so I'm pretty excited to read these. But while I read these stories, I'm going to be working on my nether portal room, and I'm thinking about building a moss farm as well. I don't know, I've got a lot of ideas. Anyways, let's judge some people. Am I the asshole for telling my friend that she's ruining her child's life with the name she gave her? I'm a 21-year-old female, and I've been friends with Laureen, 22, female, for 17 years now, and we're really close. She recently gave birth to her daughter, and her husband recently told us the name. They decided to name their daughter Juliet. I'll admit it's a pretty wild spelling of Juliet, you can see it on the screen. And her middle name is Maria. I thought the spelling was a joke, until she told me that they're serious. I told Laureen that with that spelling of a simple but beautiful name is just going to ruin that little girl's life. She got mad and told me to stop ruining her mood and that I'm being mean. I'm completely honest, the spelling is just bad. Nothing else can explain it. Why ruin such a beautiful name by including letters that don't belong there? I texted her yesterday and told her that her daughter will try to change her name or at least go by her middle name since it's normal. She told me to stop texting her and that I'm a bad friend and that I'm being an asshole for making fun of the name. I don't think I am. When I told her that the spelling is just bad, she went crazy. She told me that I'm the worst friend ever and that I would never be able to see her daughter again. After that, her husband sent me an email telling me to stop being so disrespectful. He thinks the spelling is cute and just makes her unique. Unique, yes, but that's just going to make the little girl suffer and she'll probably be bullied for that spelling. I haven't replied, and honestly I don't think I'm the asshole here. But I thought I'd post on here since y'all are the best to judge. So am I the asshole for telling my friend that the name she gave her daughter is bad and will ruin her life? This was actually a really controversial post in the comments. There was a lot of disagreement. People saying that this poster was in the wrong and then other people defending them. So then the poster came back and added an update that I'll read really quick here. Update. Alright, I get it. I'm an asshole for going after the name more than once. Sorry for that, Lamau. I just sent her an apology text for doing it. Yet I did write how she should try to look at it from another perspective. I also sent a few screenshots of comments just for her to see what other people think of it. For your information, I'm supposed to be the godmother, which is why I was extra worried about it, my bad. And then there's another update here later on, I'll read that too. Update number 2. I've been asked if there are any updates, and yes there are. So I've been talking with Laureen a lot over text, and she's slowly starting to notice her mistake. I apologized again, and we're good again. We talked about the name, and she told me that she won't change it, and she really loves it, but she's slowly understanding why it's weird for others, especially me. Her husband, on the other hand, is still pretty mad at me. He thinks that I took it too far, and that my apologies aren't from the heart. I've been asked if I'm still the godmother, and yes I am. They had thought about changing it, but now that we get along again, I'm back in the role. Back to the husband, he actually blocked me on everywhere, and is telling Laureen to do so as well, because he thinks that I'm manipulative, and that I'm lying just so that we can get close again. Doesn't make sense. IDK. Well, either way, it's getting better with the relationship, just not with the name. I guess I'm curious what you guys think about this. When I was reading the comments on this post, I was surprised because I kind of thought this was a no-brainer, that you shouldn't remark on someone else's kid's name. People can name their kids whatever they want. It's not your place to correct them. But there was a lot of back and forth in the comments on this post, and a lot of people saying that this person wasn't the asshole. I don't know, to me it seems over the line. Here's what somebody who thought this wasn't wrong said. Not the asshole. What people don't seem to think about is that these little babies grow up and become adults. First, imagine having to put that spelling of Juliet on her resume. Then some poor soul has to figure out how to pronounce it if they want to pursue her for employment. She will spend literally the rest of her life listening to people struggle to pronounce it, and she will either have to get used to explaining it sounds like Juliet or legally change it. This parent is just setting her kid up for a life of teasing, judgment, and frustration on her part. To me, it still just seems rude. And so what if they spell their name a little bit differently? When they grow up, they can just change it if they don't like it. Listen, do I quietly agree that spelling Juliet with all these extra letters just to be unique is a little bit over the top? Sure, but I'm not going to say that to her parents just after she's born. I'm not going to say that to anybody. That's an inside thought. I think these commenters are also forgetting that there's lots of just different spellings of names for cultural reasons. And so what if you have to tell someone how to pronounce your name? And I've got a friend named Kiva, spelled this way, which is just the most insane spelling. If you don't know how to say the name, you just cannot pronounce it just by looking at it. But I don't know, I think that's cool and it's neat in a cultural way. Irish people have cool names, okay? That's my point here. Anyways, I tend to disagree with this poster here. I think what they did was maybe well-intentioned but wrong. I guess let me know if you agree with me or if I'm way off base here. Okay, this post is titled, "My wife and everyone thinks I got laid off, but really I quit so I could make a go at being a Twitch streamer full time. My wife doesn't follow or know anything about Twitch or video games at all. She doesn't have any knowledge of or connection to the industry that I used to work in. She's a paramedic, so she works different shifts and doesn't know that I stream at times when she isn't home. Her salary is enough to cover our bills, although things will be a bit tighter until I start making money from my stream. I'm not going to tell anyone until I'm bringing in enough money that I can do it full time. I've never been happier and not stressed as I am right now. It's easy for me to just lock myself in my home office and say that I'm networking or job hunting, when really I'm streaming if my wife or my 3-year-old is home. If she's not working or my daughter is at daycare, it's harder, but I can make it work. I feel a bit guilty for lying, but I've wanted to do this for such a long time. No one that I know in real life knows about this. Obviously, I'm posting this on a throwaway account." Yeah, I mean, we all know how this is going to end for this guy. Lying to your wife about why you're quitting your job when you have a family that's depending on you is genuinely evil. I think the fact that she's a paramedic and is out there saving lives while this poster is at home talking to chat and neglecting his 3-year-old makes this guy so much worse. What's the clip of that guy asking chat if he should talk to his wife?
You have two options. You end stream and we discuss this, or I leave. Which one?
What do you think, chat?
I don't want to sound like I'm anti-chasing your content creation dreams. It's difficult, but it's an achievable dream. But you do need to go about it responsibly. Before this, I had a full-time job that I was doing, and on the side I was making these videos. This guy has it backwards. You don't quit your job first and then start making zero money making videos or streaming on Twitch. And also, I got immensely lucky. I'm incredibly thankful to be in the position that I'm in. But I mean, that said, if I can do it, literally anybody can do it. It just needs to be a passion that you really enjoy doing. This guy just likes the idea of making money from content, which is never going to make him successful. If this is something that you want to do, you can do it. Just be smart about it. Don't be a dummy like this guy. Get good grades, keep your job, do content on the side. Okay, I'll stop yapping about this stuff. I could talk about it for ages. There's an update to this story. Let me go ahead and read that. This update is actually only from a couple days ago. The initial post was 3 years ago, so this guy came back after 3 years and gave us an update, so here it is. "I know I'll probably get flamed, but I get it. I understand that I'm the one who ruined my life and my marriage. My divorce was finalized a year ago. My wife found out 6 months after I posted. I understand that I was wrong and that I screwed up. I regret my stupidity so much. She left our flat with our daughter and went to live with her sister and hired a solicitor, and that was it. Don't be stupid like me. We've been divorced for a year and I just found out that she started dating again. I'm gutted. I miss her, and I miss my daughter because she only lives with me half the time. Whenever I see my wife's sister or other members of her family, they give me the stink eye. I can't believe I was such a lazy piece of garbage while she was out there busting her ass as a paramedic. I understand why everyone hates me and sided with her. I know I'll get judged either way, but I'm posting in case anyone understands what I'm going through and being gutted when your ex starts dating again." Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much more to say about this. It's deservedly brutal. And I mean, really, I just feel bad for the wife and daughter. It's terrible to break up a family like this. But yeah, L this guy, L husband. Let's get some F's in the chat for this poster and move on to another story. "I'm sick of my boyfriend's childish hobbies. The poster in this identifies themselves as a 28-year-old female and their boyfriend as a 30-year-old male. My boyfriend and I have been together for 4 years, but I'm becoming tired of his childish hobbies. 2 days ago, he spent over $100 on these Nintendo toys and game. But this isn't even the worst part. He has a toy room, and it's lined with very expensive action figures from video games, Legos and cartoons, some that I consider quite lewd for someone in a relationship. Altogether, I'm pretty sure that he's spent thousands of dollars on that room, not including his video game collection. Over the past month, he probably bought 8 different games for his PlayStation, and I think that was overboard. I recently invited some out-of-town friends over for dinner, and one of them accidentally walked into his toy room, and she also agreed that this was pretty embarrassing for someone that's an adult. He makes decent money, a lot more than me, but I think it's time for him to give up and sell all these things so he can finally move on and become an adult with me. It'd be shameful to have my parents see this too, especially when we get engaged soon. How should I approach this? I think she should approach this by actually respecting her boyfriend. This really grinds my gears. Can a man have some hobbies? This just feels like bait, but whatever, I'm taking it. It's important to take interest in your partner's interests. Or if you're not going to take interest in it, you at least have to respect them and respect that they might have their own hobbies. And that you don't necessarily need to understand it or get it. Listen, if I want to collect every release of the Quagsire Pokemon card throughout the years since 1996, I'm going to do that. I'm not saying I have done it. It's my favorite Pokemon. I might. I think I'm probably going to do it. The great thing about being an adult and working a full-time job is that you finally have disposable income and you can spend it on all the stupid things that you wanted as a kid. This is what being an adult is all about. Anyways, that post was probably just looking to enrage some people, and you know what? It worked, okay? You got me. No! No, I messed it up. Oh no. This is supposed to go to the nether roof. No, it's gonna take so long to fix. Oh my god, I actually don't even remember how I got my portal up on the nether roof in the first place. I'm gonna have to go watch another tutorial. You know what? Oh, whatever. I'm not even gonna worry about this right now. This is a problem. This is a problem for future me. Am I the asshole for telling a girl to stop wasting food? Usually I always sit with the same group of people in my university's dining area. There's this girl who I've talked to a few times, but I'm not really friends with. She's kinda quiet, but when she finally talks, she seems normal. I've sat across from her a few times and noticed how she was eating because it was always weird to me. She eats maybe half of her food. Keep in mind, you can control the amount of food that you get. It's cooked by the cafeteria staff buffet style. She could easily just take less. But anyways, she eats half of her food and kinda just plays with it with her fork when she's done, aka eating half of it, sometimes even less. I didn't say anything for a while, but a few weeks ago, I had to ask her why she always only ate half of her food. She seemed a bit embarrassed, but answered that she always thought that she was more hungry, and then laughed it off. I then asked her why she made this mistake every time we ate, and that she must have learned by now. She didn't really answer, and left pretty quickly then. She doesn't really show up that much anymore, but when she does, she still eats like this, and I couldn't hold it in anymore. So I asked her once again, and then also asked if her parents never told her not to play with her food. It was a genuine question. Some people are raised in households where manners aren't important, but obviously they are for most people. She got really mad at me and told me to stop commenting on her eating habits and that it was none of my business. I told her that it absolutely was since she was sitting at our table and obviously wasting food. Oh my god. She told me to go fuck myself and threw out... She told me to go fuck myself and then left and threw out the rest of her food. After she left, one of my friends told me to leave her alone, as she seemed like she was having a hard time and maybe she had some sort of issue with food. Yeah, obviously she has an issue with food. She keeps wasting it. Oh my god, this poster sucks. She hasn't shown up again. I'm assuming she buys her own food now, which might teach her not to waste food, so that's good. The same friend who told me to leave her alone keeps pestering me to apologize to her, but I think she should apologize to me. She's unnecessarily rude when being asked the most basic and obvious questions and also told me to go fuck myself? That's way more harsh than anything I've ever told her. Keep in mind that I care a lot about food waste and the environment. Am I the asshole for telling a girl to stop wasting food? This poster got absolutely raked over the coals in the comments. Here's just like a couple of the top comments. You're the asshole, don't comment on people's eating habits. You don't know if it's an underlying eating disorder or whatever reason. She doesn't need to justify this to you. Or here's another one. I immediately thought eating disorder behavior when I was reading this. She takes what looks like a normal amount of food because people will comment on small portions too. Most people don't pay attention to whether or not their table mates clear their plates, so it could seem like a safer option. And honestly, even if it's not about her not knowing her appetite or whatever, you're the asshole for getting involved, OP. One comment out of concern is enough. She's an adult and doesn't have to listen to you. Hounding her about it until she stops showing up at the cafeteria was too much. So then, after being absolutely lambasted in the comments, the poster then came back and added an edit to the post. Here's what they wrote. Edit. Okay, I'm the asshole. Sorry I'm not studying to be an eating disorder specialist. I looked stuff up about it and I'm realizing that I was too harsh. I'll apologize next time I see her and try not to be so condescending. But you all should follow your own advice. If people genuinely don't know something, you should tell them nicely instead. And I realize I should have tried to educate her nicely about food waste and not have commented at all on how she was eating. That's wild. Based on the way that edit was written, I don't think this poster learned anything at all from this. I don't think they went and apologized to that girl, and I also don't think that they feel bad about it. Even after being told that they were in the wrong, they were still blaming the commenters for being mean about it. Not to state the obvious point here, but this poster should have just left this girl alone. You shouldn't be commenting on other people's eating habits, especially at the table in front of their friends. That's just incredibly embarrassing and humiliating. And ironically, it's also incredibly rude, which is like what this poster thought that she was trying to get back at this person for being rude. And there's just no need to make comments like that. You don't need to go around correcting people's behavior. That's not your job. This poster should have just minded their own business. They are definitely the asshole here. I think my boyfriend is lying about being in medical school. I'm a 26-year-old female, and I've been dating Sam, 31, male, for about 4 months now. We had met online, and he told me that he was going to be a doctor. The first 2 months were fine, but the last 2 months, I've started to feel like he hasn't been honest about several aspects of his life, the biggest being about him actually being in medical school. He used to live overseas and was in medical school there for a short time. I'm pretty sure this is true because I've seen pictures. That was about 5 years ago. The school that he says he goes to is fairly prestigious, and I have another friend who graduated with a medical degree from the same school. My friend told me how difficult the program was, and how he never had time to do anything besides study. My friend also said that nobody in his program ever worked. Sam, my boyfriend, works 40 hours a week in an office, and I've never once seen him study. He always seems to have a completely open schedule to hang out all the time, which I thought was odd. I asked him why he's never studying, and he said that he doesn't need to. I was always a good test taker and never studied a lot in college, but I feel like medical school is a whole different ballgame. I've spent a lot of time at Sam's house, and I've never seen a single document suggesting that he was in school. No textbooks, no assignments, nothing. He also let me use both of his computers, and I've never seen anything on his history suggesting anything to do with school. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, I had papers all over my house, and my computer always had school stuff on it. A few weeks ago, we were at dinner, and I can't remember how this was brought up, but he mentioned that the human ear has 30-something bones in it. I know from high school biology class that the ear actually only has 3 bones in it, so I said he was wrong. He said something to the effect of, "I'm a medical student, how are you going to tell me that I'm wrong?" So I Googled it right in front of him, and showed him that I was correct, and he seemed mad. I then asked him how many bones were in the human body, and he was wrong again. I feel like this is pretty basic stuff that a medical student should know, right? Even I know that. This week I've been feeling suspicious, so I decided to continue prodding him. I asked him if I could come sit in on one of his classes, and he said his school doesn't do that. Fine, no problem. I asked if we could meet up on campus for lunch, and he said that I couldn't come because you need a student ID to get onto campus due to COVID. Okay, fine. I asked to see a student ID, and he said that he lost it. I then asked him if he could send me a selfie of him in his hospital uniform, and he said that he doesn't like the way he looks in a white coat. Meanwhile, he sends me other selfies all the time. I feel like at this point he's lying, but some of my friends say that I'm being paranoid. If he is lying, how should I prove it? I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't like to assume immediately that people are lying. But I mean, anybody that I've ever known that's gone to medical school definitely hasn't been able to work a full-time job, like a full 40-hour work week, and also go to medical school. If this guy is working 40 hours a week in an office job and also going to medical school, he should have absolutely no time whatsoever. And then on top of that, the needing a student ID to get onto campus, but then losing his student ID and not having one, and then also not wanting to take a selfie in like a lab coat. I guess I just understand where this poster is coming from and would also be very suspicious. To me, it seems like this guy probably was a medical student at some point, but maybe isn't anymore. And now maybe he told a lie and is in too deep on a lie and can't get out of it. But several days later, there was an update made to this story, so I'll go ahead and read that really quick here. The update reads, "So, the response was so overwhelming, and I'm glad that I got confirmation on my suspicions because I felt like I was going crazy. I broke up with him over FaceTime and didn't tell him the real reason. Just gave a vague explanation about not being ready to date somebody. There are other things, in addition to my post, that I'm pretty sure he was also lying about. I didn't bring up any of his lies because, honestly, I feel slightly scared of a person who would lie about things like that. He didn't take it very well, and sent me a barrage of texts trying to guilt trip me, and was also borderline harassing me into meeting up with him. Overall, just really gaslighty and manipulative. I eventually just stopped responding, and I haven't heard anything in a few days. Hopefully, I never have to see or speak to him again. Thanks for all your responses. Going forward, I'll be a lot more cautious about who I believe." I am a little bit bummed out that we didn't get closure on whether or not he actually lied. There's this comment underneath the post that I think sums it up pretty well. It reads, "I'm an actual medical student, and that guy is 100% lying about being in medical school. You have next to no free time outside of class and studying. There's no way that this dude is working 40 hours a week in an office and is just a good test taker to get through school. It's just not possible. The level of detail and volume of work is so massive that it requires daily practice. Sounds like this guy was in school, flunked out, and hasn't accepted it yet. I don't mean to sound naive here, but like it is absolutely insane what people will lie about. And I think dating apps kind of make that easier. I think sometimes people embellish what they actually do on dating apps, and then when you meet them, you find out that they're actually just lying. I don't know. In this story, we didn't actually find out for like 100% certain that this guy was lying, but I mean, I think when you get this kind of gut feeling that someone's lying to you, I think it's good to follow that instinct. I find that my gut is usually right in those situations. Am I the asshole for connecting to the earpod after my niece swallowed it to see if it would play in her stomach? When my 3-year-old niece swallowed my sister's left AirPod, everyone started worrying right away. I was trying to lighten the situation, so I connected the AirPod to my phone and started playing music. Then I put my ear to her stomach to see if I could hear it. Surprisingly, I actually did hear a little bit of sound coming from inside of her, which made the moment a little bit funny for me. But the people around us really didn't find it amusing. They all looked at me like I wasn't taking things seriously at all. I was just trying to calm the mood, but instead I ended up being the only one laughing while everyone else was still stressing about the AirPod inside of her. This one was cracking me up when I first read it. I think because I would be trying to do the same thing as this guy. I think sometimes it's okay to like joke around a little bit in a tense situation. Obviously that's like a scary situation, but yeah, it's kind of funny. I don't know. May as well see if you could play music in her stomach. But yeah, I thought that was funny, so I thought I'd read it super quickly. We can move on. We can move on here. This is a thing that I used to do in all my old worlds. If you put white glazed terracotta behind your portal, it looks way trippier. You can kind of see the pattern of the terracotta through the portal. It kind of makes it like these little squiggly lines. I don't know, can you see these? Okay, maybe it isn't coming through on YouTube, but just trust it. It looks a little bit better, like marginally better. Okay, I just locked in off camera and got a bunch of work on this area done. I actually think it's kind of coming along. We got kind of an ancient lost city vibe going on in here. But this is probably as much as I want to do in this area right now. I was planning to make a moss farm today. I gathered all the materials for it. I've been putting it off for a long time and I just desperately need a moss farm. I was looking around for a place to put it and I think building it up here is as good a place as any. This next story has a couple characters in it, which I typically try to avoid just because it's kind of hard to keep track of everybody in audio. But whatever, the drama was too good in this not to read it. My friend has a secret that could blow up our entire friend group. Okay, so I'm a 27-year-old female, and I have to give a bit of background on our friend group to illustrate the gravity of this situation. I'm in a friend group of about 8 people, which was essentially founded by these 2 guys, Mark, 28 male, and Jay, 29 male. Mark is single, but Jay has a fiancée, Allie, who's 36 and female. Jay and Allie are getting married next summer. The rest of the group really isn't relevant to the story. Mark and Jay have been best friends for years. I think they're coming up on like 22 years. They were neighbors, went to the same schools, and got into the same college so they wouldn't have to be separated. They are actually platonic soulmates, to the point of finishing each other's sentences a lot of the time. They're the glue that holds this entire friend group together. When Jay and Allie first got together, Mark was a little bit weird about it, mostly due to the age gap, but he's come around a lot. They still don't get along perfectly, but he's said that he's happy for them both, and is going to be the best man at their wedding. Last week, Mark got a promotion, and Jay was out of town scouting venues, so Mark invited me to go get trashed with him to celebrate the promotion. Near the end of the night, he was hammered and grabbed my arm and told me he had a secret, and that I couldn't tell any of our friends because nobody knows. He told me that he was in love with Jay, and had been for years. He went into great detail about how attractive he found him, how good he had been to him all his life, and then he got this really freaked out look on his face and said that he didn't think he could sit there and smile while the love of his life married someone who, quote, can't even commit his birthday to memory, much less write a best man speech talking about how great their relationship is. He started getting teary-eyed and said the closer the wedding got, the worse he was feeling, and how he really needed someone to be there for him, which I agreed to. I'm really bad at keeping secrets. People don't tell me a lot of secrets because I tend to blab. I don't mean to, I just let stuff slip all the time. It's something I've gotten a lot better at, but still, I cannot tell this one. So then you went and posted on Reddit about it? I didn't even know Mark was queer. I'm a bisexual woman myself, so I know how good some people can be at hiding it. And Allie is fine. Honestly, like, she's nice and all, but I wouldn't call her and Jay a perfect match or anything. She doesn't tend to hang out with the group unless Jay is there, and I'd call her more of an acquaintance. I feel like all I can do is wait for some sort of blast wave, like I need to get into a bunker. I told Mark I'd be there for him, but he was so drunk I don't think he remembers telling me. I have no idea what to do here, if anything. That's crazy. This guy was like, hey, I'm gonna tell you my deepest secret. And this poster was like, bet, I'm gonna tell the whole internet about it. I really don't think that this poster should do anything at all with this information. It is not her responsibility to get involved whatsoever. If this guy comes to her and wants to be comforted and consoled, that's great. She should be there for her friend. But don't go telling anybody anything and potentially making this engagement any more complicated than it needs to be. There's actually an update to this post though, and it's from just a little bit ago. It's from November 23rd of this year. So I'm gonna go ahead and read that update really quick. The friend group ending secret is so much worse than I thought it was. I've been texting with Mark and he's been drinking more and making less sense. I had to come over to his place a few nights ago and keep him company. He was completely wasted and sobbing like a baby. He's found a therapist and scheduled an appointment, but it's still a ways out. I took the alcohol out of his apartment as per his request and stayed with him while he went to sleep. But while he was drunk, he dropped another bombshell on me. Apparently a little over a year ago, Jay and Mark hooked up a while. Once again, drunk. Usually they don't have alcohol problems. A week later, Jay met Allie, and a month after that, they got together. Mark told me that he was already head over heels for Jay at that point, but that really took a toll on him. They remained friends and never talked about it again, but it's been eating away at Mark ever since. I feel awful for the poor guy. I did notice about a year ago that the dynamic got really weird for a few months, but I figured it was just due to Allie being thrown into the mix. This was just so damn messy. Also, no, I wasn't going to tell anyone with stake in it. None of my friends have read it, so I'll take the risk that they won't see this. I'll update if anything else big happens. Bye. This is a completely insane situation, and it really sucks. I feel bad for this guy, Mark. If he was ever going to share his feelings or have a conversation about this, it probably had to happen a long time ago. This is an ongoing situation though, so hopefully more updates are coming in the future from this post, and I'll definitely read another one if it comes up. I dumped my girlfriend because she made a test Instagram story and I failed. I'm a 26-year-old male, and I broke up with my girlfriend of 9 months yesterday because I'm apparently supposed to treat her Instagram like a job interview. She posted a black screen to her story with the caption, "Some people really disappoint you, lol." No context, no explanation, just that. So I ignored it, because I'm not a mind reader, and I'm not going to play high school games. I assumed it was one of her friends just being passive-aggressive about work or whatever. Well, apparently that was a test. She told me I failed because I didn't message her right away, asking what was wrong. She said it showed that I don't care enough to check in. I told her I don't check Instagram every 5 minutes, and if she has a problem with me, she should act like an adult and talk to me instead of fishing for attention through vague stories. She said I was being cold and emotionally unavailable. I said that she was being manipulative and immature. She cried. I packed my stuff. She's still messaging me, telling me that I'm heartless for leaving over one small thing. But it's not one small thing. It's a million little red flags I've ignored for too long. The tests, the social media drama. I'm not going to date a puzzle that I have to solve daily just to avoid a tantrum. I want peace, not stories written with invisible ink that I'm expected to decode while she sits there with her arms crossed waiting to see if I love her enough to notice. I thought this one was kind of similar to a subscriber story from the last video, but from the guy's perspective. This one's different though, because I do agree with this guy. I think like testing your partner like this is for sure manipulative and pointless. Like just be communicative and open. Like that just seems really stressful to be with someone who's just like setting traps for you to walk into. That being said, if my girlfriend posted on Instagram just a story with a black screen saying people disappoint me, I think I might check in. I might just like shoot her a quick text and be like, "Hey, I saw that story. Are you good?" But no, overall, I agree with this poster. Like, obviously, you should not be with someone that is just constantly trying to test you and test if you love them. I don't know, man. It just seems like sometimes people do anything but have an honest conversation. And I mean, I say that as someone who also needs to be better at having honest conversations. I hate confrontation, and I could certainly do a lot better at communicating well. But just like posting on social media to see if your boyfriend catches on to your drift, I don't know, just talk to him. It doesn't need to be so complicated. I don't know, maybe I'm crazy. Whatever, I'm starting to get riled up over here. Let's move on. I poured skunk tincture all along my neighbor's windows so they'd be quieter. Skunk tincture just means like skunk smell. Okay, here's the story. They were so loud all the time. I tried talking to them, telling them that my boyfriend and I work at a coffee shop and a bakery and our hours are really early. I bribed them with treats that I made. Our neighbors were constantly opening their windows and playing their music so loud at all hours. Even their conversations were loud. With their windows open, even with mine closed, I would know when their mom was visiting, when their boyfriends weren't texting them back, or when they got their nails done. I did everything to cover it up. Music of my own, fans for white noise, TV, etc. It's like they knew when I was actively trying and stepped up their game to be louder. Eventually, we tried talking to our landlords, made noise complaints, anything and everything. They just learned how to be sneaky about being loud. Eventually, it got spiteful, putting music in the window, screaming and banging on the walls. Our houses weren't connected, but there was maybe 10 feet between our houses with a sidewalk going through. I was getting really stressed out, losing sleep. I couldn't even relax in my own house. I was getting sent home from work because I was so tired. It got really bad, and I had no idea what to do. Nothing we had done to this point had worked. When I'd explained my situation, people would come up with funny revenge ideas. None of them stuck like the skunk tincture did to me. I could feel it in my bones that it would work. So I ordered some on Amazon, and one morning, as I left for work, I dumped it all along the side of their house that they keep the windows open on. It smelled so bad, and I was worried that I was going to get some on me, and I'd smell bad at work, but I didn't. Fast forward a couple hours, and I get a notification on our camera that there's motion. It faced between the two houses along the sidewalk, the place where I had dumped the skunk smell. One of the girls was walking back and forth up the sidewalk, spraying rocks under the windows with Lysol. I watched it for a while, and more came out. One opened the window and even pulled the screen off and wiped it all down. Eventually, a maintenance guy showed up. I kind of started to panic at that point. I felt kind of bad, like maybe I'd gone too far. I don't think they ever figured it out or suspected it was me. For the next 2 months, those windows stayed shut, and I barely heard anything from them. It was so peaceful. I couldn't believe that it worked. This story is making me realize that I might be an asshole. This doesn't seem like that bad to me. You definitely shouldn't do this. Nobody should retaliate in this way against their neighbors. But of all the destructive things that this poster could have done, this in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's that bad. It'll smell bad for a while, but the smell will go away. Actually, when I was in college, somebody stink bombed one of the stairways in one of the dorms that I lived in. You could not go in that stairwell for days after they did that. It smelled absolutely righteous in there. Those stink bombs are no joke. I don't know, if your neighbor comes to you and just politely asks you to keep it down, it's not that hard to just turn down the music or to be more considerate and close your windows. And you may as well do it because you might get skunked, apparently. By the way, I am raw dogging this moss farm build completely from memory. I took the design from an Etho video that I'll link in the description, and I spent some time in creative yesterday just making this farm half as efficient and twice as ugly. Just my own little spin. I guess if it's a miserable failure, you'll know why. It's not going to be the best, but it'll get the job done. Am I the asshole for refusing to learn my boyfriend's parents' language? I'm a 27-year-old female, and I've been dating my boyfriend, 29 male, for a little over a year. We met through mutual friends and immediately hit it off. To this point, our relationship has been nothing but great, except for this one story. My boyfriend was born in Poland, and both his parents are Polish. But he went to international schools growing up, and has been living in the US for the past 8 years. This means that he speaks English like a native speaker, and only speaks Polish around his parents or other family members. I've never met his parents because they live in Poland, and I work a very demanding job, so we've never really had the time to go visit them. But this year, I got promoted, which means that I get more vacation time, so we'll be going to Poland around Christmas to spend 2 to 3 weeks there. Since we decided on going, I've been super excited to meet his family and discover the country that he grew up in. Here's where we started to have a problem. My boyfriend asked if I could start learning Polish before we went to Poland, so that I could communicate with him and his family. I completely understand why he would ask, and I have no problem with the idea itself. However, for multiple reasons, this would be complicated for me, so I said no. He got a bit confused and asked why, so I explained. First of all, we're leaving for Poland on December 19th, which is 2 weeks away, so there's no way that I'll have time to learn a language in 2 weeks, especially since Polish is pretty difficult. Also, I currently have a lot of work to do before we leave for the holidays, so I have very little time to spare. And lastly, I've been asked by my company to learn Italian for professional reasons, so I'm already currently learning a language, and I feel like learning a new one now would make it all tangled up in my head. So I told him that I could learn some simple words and phrases, but there was no way I'd be able to communicate with his family members in Polish in 2 weeks. Also, for context, both his parents speak English pretty well, and some of his other family members too. And I suggested that he could translate for us if needed, but he doesn't want to. He got angry at me and said that I was disrespectful to his family and that I wasn't making efforts to understand his culture. He went on a rant about how Americans never make efforts to speak other languages. I speak 3 languages fluently, and I'm learning another one. He even told me that I should just stay here and not come with him for the holidays. I don't know what to do. I can understand his point of view and try to make efforts, but what he's asking is just not doable. I don't know if I'm in the wrong here. As an American that only knows English, I feel personally called out by this post. I'm not going to say that the stereotype is 100% correct. I don't know what you want, okay? I got B's in Spanish, and English is hard enough for me already. I'm sorry. I'm sticking with the language that's working for me. But to get to the actual point of this post, no, obviously this poster is not in the wrong. Giving someone 2 weeks to learn Polish is an insane ask. Like she said, if it was just simple words and phrases, that would be a nice gesture to learn. But you can't demand that your partner be fluent, especially in that time frame. I think a reasonable ask would be if he said something like, "Hey, I'd love if you make an effort to learn my native language over the next few years. I'll even help you." I think that would be doable. But anyways, she should just speak English with his parents because they already speak English. And then she should maybe make an effort to learn Polish in the future. I just AFK'd and left the farm running for 15 minutes, and look at all of this moss. This is already so much more than I need. Wow, okay. Did not know this. The way that I set up the water streams is making it so that moss just collects in the middle and doesn't get collected by the minecart that I have down there. Okay, well, this looks incredibly janky, but it'll work. Despite it being incredibly wonky, I love this thing. I could watch it all day. I'm gonna worry about making it look pretty some other time. My attention span for moss farming is running out, so let's move on. We got another prank gone wrong story here. Lots of pranks today. Am I overreacting over this small prank? I'm a 22-year-old female, and I've been with my boyfriend, male, 25, for a little over a year and a half. Recently, we've been running into some hurdles because I've been feeling like he's been bothering, teasing, biting, poking me more than being serious or a loving partner to me. For context, what I mean is making weird noises all the time, referencing Italian brain rot, or touching me randomly even if I'm in the middle of a sentence and talking about something serious, when I would prefer active listening, loving touch, unironic quality time, etc. We had a huge conversation about this recently as I was on the brink of ending things with him, since he had such a lack of warmth and unseriousness that was making me feel empty. Since then, there's been a genuine effort and big improvement, and I was starting to feel very hopeful that this was something we could work through. Fast forward a little, and I'm starting a new job as an educator. And while I'm very excited about it, it's a huge adjustment and has been really stressful. On top of that, for the last 6 days, I've been hearing some bizarre beeping noise coming from my closet that chirps once every 20 to 40 minutes. It's driving me nuts, and I couldn't figure out what it was. It was keeping me up and infiltrating my dreams, and it was starting to freak me out since nothing I own makes that sound. Nothing in the closet even had a battery in it. And from my overall stress and lack of good sleep, I was starting to grow paranoid that someone had planted a device in my room. To add to this, I'm extremely private, and the only people who are regularly in my room are myself and my boyfriend when he visits. This led me to fear that my boyfriend had secretly been stalking me and had planted a mic or something in my room that was starting to make noise. I had zero reason to believe this, and I 100% trust him, but I was starting to go a little bit crazy. It even happened while I was talking to my therapist, and I explained the mystery of its origins, and she seemed genuinely concerned. To make matters worse, the fridge at work is broken and beeps 9 times every minute, so it started feeling like the chirping was following me, compounding my general distress. Last night, after a stressful day and finding out some unsettling news that was enough to emotionally affect me on its own, my sister heard the noise as well, and we decided to tear my closet apart at 10 p.m. to figure out where the noise was coming from. After timing the beeps for an hour, we found this tiny Arduino board deep in one of my boxes labeled Annoying PCB as pictured. I'll put the picture that she provided on the screen. Continuing with the story. Google it. Its literal sole purpose is to drive its victims insane. I was immediately horrified, quite literally shaking and crying as my wildest nightmare of someone planting a device in my room had literally come true. My immediate thought was, who would do something like this, and what did I do to deserve this? I called my boyfriend immediately, and he admitted that he knew what it was. I hung up, and I haven't spoken to him since. The reason I'm not sure if I'm overreacting is because, on the one hand, I understand how this might be funny. But to me that doesn't matter, given the fact that I've already been feeling like he hasn't been serious with me to a problematic extent. And also the fact that it's been plaguing me and disturbing my sleep literally for the first week of my new job. And also, I've been complaining to him for days about this sound, and he just played along, confused and concerned, repeatedly asking me, what does it sound like? And even dismissing my genuine concern and paranoia, saying, maybe there's a little cricket in your room. I just feel like this is on par with glitter bombing, like something you do to someone you hate, not the supposed love of your life. It feels like psychological warfare, and between stretching this out for days and planting it in my room, this feels like a massive breach of trust. I haven't spoken to him at all, and he's been texting me saying things like, it's just a prank, and I miss you, please don't ignore me. I'm so against stonewalling, but I literally have nothing to say to him, and he hasn't apologized or shown any remorse. I don't feel ready to speak to him at all. Maybe it was a good prank with bad timing, but I can't help but feel like it's just setting us back again, and I'm genuinely shaken. I honestly don't see a future at this point, and I'm not really sure what to do. I'm all for being a little bit mischievous with your partner. Like, I'm playfully annoying all the time. I love being a little shit. But there's, like, clearly a line that you don't cross. And putting something that beeps constantly in your partner's room is absolutely too far. Especially, like, leaving it there for days until she has to discover it is crazy. And pretending you don't know about it, like just denying its existence. Like, after she discovers it, don't deny it. I don't know, if you want to be like annoying with it for 10 minutes, maybe, sure, haha, that's funny, fine. But just leaving it in his girlfriend's room, this guy was just genuinely trying to bother this poster. It just feels kind of mean. Little small pranks are fine. And you definitely need to like be aware of your partner's tolerance level for them. But like I said, there's like absolutely a line between being playful and being mean. Also, side note, but I completely get the phobia of someone putting devices in your room. Whenever I stay at Airbnbs and hotels, I'm always so worried that there are recording devices in there. I know I'm just being paranoid, but like I don't even think it's that irrational of a fear. But yeah, I don't think this poster is overreacting at all. I think this is clearly over the line. Am I the asshole for crafting during meetings? So I work mainly in an office setting, and we have a lot of meetings, video conferences, and online training, which is primarily in the video format. I've always needed something to do with my hands, thanks to ADHD, and if I don't, then I can't focus on things that aren't reading. I've also been crocheting and knitting since I was little, and it's something I do a lot at home while watching movies and TV. It helps me focus. In university, I used to crochet and knit in lectures because it helped me and no one seemed to have a problem with it. The lecturers actually encouraged it and said as long as it helped me focus, I could do whatever I wanted. So I decided I was going to take my knitting into work with me to see if it would help me focus more in meetings and not get distracted during them. These meetings can be long, they can go up to 4 hours sometimes, and usually I mentally clock out within the first half hour. I had brought it up to the supervision that I had trouble focusing, and my manager was actually the one that recommended that I find something to do with my hands and okayed it. The knitting worked, and I was able to focus a lot better and be more involved in meetings because I wasn't drifting away. But recently a colleague came up to me and told me to stop. He said that it was rude and disrespectful towards everyone in the meeting and our clients, whom the meetings were usually about. I tried to explain that it actually helped me stay on track and remember information about the clients, but he held his stance firmly. And it's not like I'm not participating at all. I don't need to look down at my knitting or crochet because I've been doing it for so long, and I bring in pieces that are simple and mindless to do. I'll also put it down if I'm writing or typing or if I'm talking. Anyway, my colleague said that he was going to bring this to the higher-ups if I continued. Even though I had already cleared it with my manager before, it's gotten me a bit worried, so I need your opinions. Also, where I work is quite relaxed and generally a casual setting. We wear casual clothes as well, so it's not super formal. Should I stop? Is what I'm doing disrespectful? It does suck how most workplaces are really strict about this stuff. They should just trust their employees to learn or focus in their own way. I completely get it. I focus better when I'm doing two things at once, which is an insane thing to say, but whatever. My attention span is broken. And I fully blame short-form content for that, by the way. But I'm not going to go on that tangent right now. It sounds like this poster actually works in a cool work environment that's chill about this stuff, but they just have like a sucky coworker that's trying to power trip. I could see it maybe being a bit distracting to sit across from somebody who's knitting while in a meeting. Like I might just be watching them knit the whole time, if that was me. But this guy should just mind his own business. Why are you tattling on your coworkers for something they have already had approved by management? This story honestly just makes me happy to not be working in an office anymore. There are like things that I miss about it. I did actually like having coworkers to gossip with, but there was always that one person that was just a suck up to the people in charge. Anyways, this poster should just keep knitting. They're fine. They've already talked to their boss about it. Just keep knitting. This guy's not going to do anything. Okay, the walkway is done-ish. This is like kind of a classic spammy pathway, but I think it looks good. And I like the bricks and the bushes. The colors go well together. I've got this wall over here that I want to fill in along the pathway, so I'm going to work on that for a little bit. Am I the asshole for putting locks on my bedroom and bathroom doors and telling my elderly roommate to stay the hell out? I'm 23 and I've been living with my roommate since January. I was planning to be here for a 6-month internship, though that's been put on hold. She's a single woman in her 60s renting out a room and bathroom in her apartment. As an extreme introvert who needs plenty of privacy and space, I initially thought that living with somebody so much older than me would be better than someone my own age. I figured that she wouldn't bring people over or want to hang out. It was also a last-minute job offer, and I had to find a place quickly, so admittedly, I jumped the gun a bit. But now I see that I've made a mistake. She is always in my business and personal space. When I moved in, she assured me that I was paying for my own private bathroom and bedroom, but she's always in there. For a while, she was going into my bathroom while I was gone, cleaning it and leaving me passive-aggressive notes saying, "Cleaned your bathroom? Here's some cleaning supplies to do it yourself." When I confronted her, she said that she thought she was helping me, but I told her to stay out, and it stopped for a while. But I know she still goes in because I'll notice that my stuff has been moved around. I also shut the bathroom door every single time I leave the apartment, as it's in the hallway, but she always opens it back up again, saying that your bathroom has a skylight, which brings light into the hallway, so I need it open. When I tell her that I want the bathroom door to stay closed and she can just turn the hallway light on if she really wants to brighten up the 5-foot hallway, she says no, she needs natural light from my bathroom. I've also noticed that she's been in my room. I'll notice things are in different spots, and the final straw was a couple weeks back. I came home after a weekend away and noticed that the AC vent in my room was shut. When I asked her about it, she said, "Oh yeah, I go in there sometimes when you're out and close the vent so more AC comes in through the living room." That was it for me. I went out the next day, bought some cheap locks, and installed them on my bathroom and bedroom doors. She came into my room and started bitching about how this was her place and I have no right to put locks on the doors. I told her I wasn't breaking any agreements as the locks are easily removable and won't cause any damage, and that when I'm paying $1,000 a month for my own space, I'm going to make sure that it's private. I wouldn't have needed locks if she'd minded her own business and stayed the hell out of my space like I'd asked her to a million times. She started saying that she needs light in the hallway. What if there's a fire hazard and she needs to go into my room? I'm an entitled millennial, and who do I think I am? And this is her house. I told her to fuck off and shut the door in her face. Oh my god. I know this may sound snotty here, but there's a lot more I've left out. Living with her is a nightmare, and I pay good money for my privacy. I'll be moving out as soon as possible. Am I the asshole? There's some edits here at the bottom. I'll just read this really quick. Edit. This woman is in her late 60s, probably 67 or 68. So I do consider her to be elderly personally. It's an apartment that she has lived in for many years, but does not own it. I've tried talking to her about these issues calmly many times, but she didn't listen, which is why I was forced to install locks. I live in Los Angeles. The commenters on this post are all saying that this guy, this poster, is in the right, and I tend to agree with them. I kind of wish that he was a bit nicer to this older woman about it, but it is his space and he's paying good money for it, and if he says that he doesn't want her going into his room, she definitely has to respect that. Especially since the expectation when he moved in was that he'd have privacy. Honestly, though, this guy just needs to live in an apartment building. I don't think he's cut out to live in an apartment with a woman 40 years his senior. He just seems like he does not have the patience for it. These all sound like things that I think I would probably let slide, but I definitely get it. $1,000 a month is not cheap for a room in an apartment. If I'm paying that much, I definitely want privacy. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it, I might crash out too if I came home and a bunch of my stuff was moved around in my room. I sit in my car for an hour after work and tell everyone it's traffic. It's the happiest part of my day. I park a couple blocks from home, kill the engine, and just exist. No radio, sometimes a podcast, sometimes I stare at a leaf on the windshield. I text traffic in the family group chat and sit there like a raccoon pretending to be a functioning adult. It started during a rough week. I told myself that I needed 5 minutes to decompress so I wouldn't bring the office home. 5 minutes became 15, and then an hour. Now that quiet metal box is the only place where nobody needs anything from me. Here's the part that I'm not proud of. I've missed dinners, I've let calls ring out, I've walked in with a tired smile and lie about a stalled truck on the highway. I'm not cheating, I'm not job hunting, I'm just exhausted and addicted to being unreachable. I think I'm scared that if I say I need an hour to myself, people will hear, I don't love you. So I picked the coward's version, silence and excuses. It feels harmless, but it isn't. It chips away at trust, and I can hear it in the little pause before they say, okay. I'm confessing because I don't want the happiest part of my day to be hiding. I'm going to tell them the truth and ask for a real boundary. 1 hour after work, phone on Do Not Disturb, then I show up fully. If they say no, at least I finally said something real. This one was just kind of a bummer. I'm sorry. I think I picked it because I kind of relate to it. I mean, I'm not neglecting my family like this guy is, but but like I go sit in my car sometimes when I just want to like be alone. And sometimes it's easier to just like go listen to a podcast or music in the car and just like not think about my obligations for a little while. For this guy, it's fine if he does it once or twice, but making a habit of it is probably a problem. And he obviously knows that. He's going to have a conversation with his family. But it's just kind of sad that sometimes it's harder to be honest about needing some space. At any office job that I ever had, lunch in the car was absolutely sacred. Just getting to sit in the car for an hour and not talk to anybody was incredible. It's sublime, the feeling. If you know, you know. Anyways, I'm glad that this guy is self-aware about this situation. All right, here's all the stuff that I got done today. Don't look over here. Do not look over here. This is undone. This is kind of funny. There's only one copper golem left. Amongst all of his friends, they're all frozen, and it's just this one guy just still plugging away, organizing chests. Keep at it, buddy. Anyways, it was actually like kind of a lot of work to collect all these resources. We do finally have kind of an entrance to the library, if you can even call this an entrance, but here's the library. I think this like overhang, blue wall, walkway area that we got going on here, I actually think this came out pretty cool. I'm a little bit proud of this. And then it leads right over here into the nether portal area. All this is kind of a work in progress, but I mean, I think this came out good for just working on it for a little bit today. Dude, I completely forgot that we worked on the moss farm in this video. This is the issue with making hour-long YouTube videos. I built this moss farm yesterday and now it is just out of my memory. Let's throw some more bone meal in here. Man, this thing is just humming along. It takes me forever to do anything with redstone, so I mean, I'm just always glad when a farm actually works. That's all the Reddit stories in Minecraft I've got for you today, though. These videos may just seem like slop, but I do genuinely put a lot of effort into them, and so thank you very much for taking your time to watch them. Many, many videos ago, I revealed that one of my closest friends, Mike, was not subscribed to the channel, and I am remiss to say that he is still not subscribed. So don't be like Mike, and please subscribe. It's been months, Mike. You snake. I've got so much dirt on you, dude. Just subscribe to the channel. I will release the files.